Welcome to my YouTube channel Yash Paranspe and you're learning C with Yash. So in this session guys, we'll be talking on the most important concept with respect to the standardization over the coding, and that is what is called as comments. Alright. So in the previous session we talked a lot on escape sequence, and I hope the concept of escape sequence is pretty clear with you, right? So what is basically escape sequence, guys? Escape sequence is nothing but it is purely a single character constant which appears in the form of backslash, followed by which you can have a single or multiple symbols out, and altogether the collection is termed as the escape sequence, right? So whenever escape sequence appears as a part of format string for the built-in function printf, while calling it, there the escape sequence is not as it is displayed on the console, rather some effect is generated accordingly. This all stuff that we have already discussed out, right? So now this is the previous demo that we have studied, and I hope the demo is crystal clear with you, right? So over here something I tried to get up to you with the output that we are gonna have. I started the stuff with 2 forward slashes. Over here I started with the 2 forward slashes, and obviously you can see that it is giving you no any compile time error. For example, if I remove it, oh, there is a problem. He's giving me a compile time error. But when I have 2 forward slashes just behind it, then can I say that it is having no any effect on the process of compilation, on the process of execution? Yes, absolutely. This is nothing but this is an example of comment. This is what is called as comment. And mind my sentence, guys, comment is equally important with your source code. I need to start with it. Comment is equally important with your source code. And this is not me who is saying it. It is already told by Dennis Ritchie. Ritchie himself tells you that comment is equally important with your source code. The source code should always have small, tiny, beautiful, meaningful comments wherever required. We'll be talking about the importance of it and every detail about this comment as well. But basically, what is comment? What is comment? So guys, comment is something for your own understanding or for that person's understanding who is gonna take a lead ahead from the position where you have stopped. Comment is nothing but it's a documentation that you are providing out while creating the source code, while creating your program. Everything that you are typing, that is something that you are communicating to the machine. Each and every statement is nothing but it is a well-defined instruction for your system. Alright. But over there somewhere, let's say if you want to put some sentence, if you want to put some para for let's say your own understanding, for let's say further reference to it, which is gonna help you out, or let's say which is gonna help your colleague who is gonna also work on the same project to some extent, right? So in these scenarios, these comments are very, very, very helpful. So in C, 2 types of comments are supported. So C and even C++ supports 2 types of comments. So number 1 is single line comment. And the next one is multi-line comment. We'll be talking about both those things. Multi-line comment, single line comment and multi-line comment. These are the 2 flavors of comments available, which are of course supported by C, C++, even your Java, C# supports these comments. So single line comment means what? Single line comment starts with 2 forward slashes. It starts with 2 forward slashes. So So as an example of it, when you have two forward slashes, that represents start of a comment. I repeat, when you have two forward slashes, that represents start of a comment. Start of a comment. So whatever you're gonna type out over here, that is not going to have any effect on the process of execution. That won't have any effect on the process of execution. So over here I can say this is a comment. So here you can have the documentation whatever you want. Small, tiny, sensible, valid, beautiful documentation you're always supposed to provide wherever it is required. What about multi-line comment, guys? Multi-line comment starts with a forward slash and star. Multi-line comment starts with a forward slash and a star, and it ends with again star followed by a forward slash. As an example of it, I can have star slash. All right, star slash. This is representing start of a comment. This is representing start of a comment. Of course, from that line itself, I can put whatever documentation I want. So here I can go with it. This, let's say, is a comment, right? And over here I can ask the comment to stop by putting a star followed by a forward slash. So whatever you enclose between the slash star and star slash, that is gonna have no any effect on the process of execution. Over here as well, whatever you will be putting on the same line where the comment has started, that is gonna have no any effect on the process of execution. That is what is comment is. So now over here, can you observe, this is nothing but it's a single line comment. This is also a single line comment. This is also a single line comment. Somewhere, let's say, if you want to put a para for your own understanding, you can actually start with a star slash, and you can see Visual Studio is smart enough to give a closing of that as well. What did I type over here? I'm typing a forward slash, see here, and I'm putting just a single star. So he's also giving me the relevant closing to it, and he wants me to type whatever I want over here. So even I can have a paragraph over here. So what I can do is I can actually type it out. So let's say here I am learning, let's say, escape sequence. Here I am learning escape sequence. It's a single character constant. Let's say it's built in. Just a note kind of thing for you guys. Further ahead, we are gonna study \0 as well. \0. All right. So in single quote, \0, which is also called as null character. So just I'm putting it, \0 is not an example of escape sequence, though it is starting with backslash, right? \0 is not an example of escape sequence. It's the null character. We'll discuss it later. All right, that's great. So this is what is called as comment. So you can actually have it anywhere where you wish. So just a slash star and a star slash enclosing of it. So this is gonna have absolutely no any effect on the process of execution. You can have a comment over here before main. If you wish, you can have it over here, right? You can have it over here. You can have it inside main. If you want, you can have it below main. Anywhere wherever you wish, there you can have the comment out. Is that clear? So just a note kind of thing for you guys. So for example, let's say printf over here, and let's say slash slash. I've started with a slash slash, or rather, yeah, let's go with that. So don't think this is a comment, right? So don't think that it will be ignored out. So for example, let's say this is not a comment. This is not a comment. So what's the reason behind it? What is the reason behind it? Tell me. This is not a comment. This is not a comment because the very first thing is it is a part of the format string. It is a part of the format string. So this is not gonna be ignored out. Did you got this? This is gonna be displayed out as it is. So let me execute it. Let me execute it. It is getting executed. Have a look at the output. Yeah, that is because of that backslash a that we have used. The beep is because of that. See here, backslash represents a escape sequence. Backslash represents a escape sequence. The meaning of it is a single backslash. That is the reason why it is displayed out over here. A note kind of view is this is not a comment, because when you want a single line comment, single line comment starts with what? Tell me. Single line comment starts with a forward slash. Single line comment starts with a forward slash. 2 forward slash. Did you got it? Not backslash. This is a backslash. You're getting this. This is a backslash. It is gonna represent a escape sequence ahead. So this is not a comment. Now let's move ahead with this, or rather let's move with this. So let's have 2 forward slashes over here. Now I'm having 2 forward slashes over here. So now my question is it a comment? Is it a comment? Is it a comment? This is for you guys. Is it a comment? Again, the answer already I have given you. This also won't be considered as the comment. The reason is although it is starting with 2 forward slashes, still it is a part of the format string for the function printf. It is the part for the format string for the function printf. It belongs to the format string. So whenever it belongs to the format string of printf, there we don't have anything called as comment out over here. So this is as it is gonna be displayed out. Is it a comment? No, it's not. No, it's not as well. Did you got this? So this complete stuff will be displayed as it is on the console. I repeat, this complete stuff will be displayed as it is on the console, because although it is starting with 2 forward slashes, still it is belonging to the format string of printf. That is why this is not gonna be considered as a comment. I execute the code. So see, back to 2 times the forward slash. Is it a comment? No, it is not a comment, right? So it's not as well, and that hello world is being appended to it, right? So this is not a comment. All right, so this is what may be asked to you in the interviews, in MCQ, such kind of things. So be wise and go with the exact answer of it. Yeah, now moving ahead, let me talk something about the importance of comment, or rather before as well, one note kind of thing for you, which is very, very, very important. And this is where you'll come to know that the level, the standard of the training that you're going through. So guys, the thing is, many of the local textbooks, even many of the trainers actually construct a phrase where they talk about comments are ignored by the compiler. This is the sentence that they speak. Comments are ignored by the compiler. Comments are ignored by the compiler, right? And even we find it wise, right? Okay, comment is ignored by the compiler. Compiler is having no any effect because of the comment. There is no any error. For example, if I have this one, okay, if I have this one, now this is giving you error. Yeah, this is giving you a error because this is a part of the source code, right? Right now it has to give you an error. What is this? So when I just have the two forward slashes over here, we think that compiler is ignoring the comment. We think that the compiler is ignoring the comment. Comments are ignored by the compiler. Is wrong statement. Is wrong. Yeah. This is completely wrong. Never say comments are ignored by the compiler. What am I speaking? What am I teaching you actually? Yes, it is true. The reason is, when can the comment be ignored by the compiler? I repeat, when can the comment be ignored by the compiler? When there is physical existence of comment, when there is physical existence of comment, when the code comes to the compiler for the relevant process to be done. And you will be surprised to listen the fact there exist no comments into the relevant code which is given as the input to the compiler, which is given as a feed to the compiler. Let me explain. Here I go with it. So yeah, let me open out the paint. So see here guys, understand, this is very important. And of course we are gonna discuss this in a great detail when we'll move with the topic called as preprocessor. So there I'll be talking in great detail about it, but just a short look at what exactly is happening. So a lot of people think that this is the source code, for example. A lot of people think that this is the source code. Let's say this is the source code. All right. Statement. This is what I'm believing it to be the source code. That's great. Okay. All right. So yeah, comments. So this is believed as the source code. What am I considering this as? I'm considering this as the source code. So lot of people think that source code is given as a feed to the compiler. Source code is given as the feed to the compiler. All right. This is where, let's say, I have the entity called as compiler. This is, let's say, the entity called as compiler. Is this correct? This is absolutely wrong. This is not happening inside with respect to C++ execution environment. This is wrong. Guys. I repeat, source code means what? Your .c or .c++ file. Source code means your .c or .c++ file. For example, over here, can you see this file? See this file? hello_world_src.c. This is the source code. And coming back to the point, I repeat, source code is never ever given to the compiler directly. Never. So what is the process of execution? A brief look at that. We are going to look at it in a great detail. So understand what is happening actually. What is actually happening? Just go through it. So guys, this is where, let's say, you have your source code. All right. This is, for example, consider this as your source code. This is statements, and this is what is your source code is. The source code is firstly given to an entity, and the name of the entity is preprocessor. What is the name of the entity? The name of the entity is preprocessor. Let me put it. Preprocessor. The source code is first given to preprocessor. Here you have your source code. Source code means what? It could be your .c or .c++ file. This is your source code. The source code is first given to preprocessor. Preprocessor does the job of pre-processing on the source code. Now again, we are having a separate topic called as pre-processing, in which your trainer Yash Paranspe is gonna teach you each and everything performed in the process out over there. Lot of stuffs are performed out over there. For example, for your understanding, what you can understand actually right now over here. So can you see that over here? What are we putting it? Hash include stdio.h, right? Inside your program, you are having hash include stdio.h as the very first instruction. So stdio.h, this is nothing but it is a header file. I already told you, header file means it's just a normal file similar to your text file with some contents. So one of the tasks that is done in the process of pre-processing is this complete statement is erased, this is removed, and the actual content of stdio.h is substituted. And the actual content of stdio.h is substituted. So you have the actual content which is long. Alright. This hash include stdio.h is completely erased, and instead of that you have the actual content being substituted out. This is one of the tasks that is carried out. Now similar to this, one more task that is gonna be carried out is comments are removed from your source code. I repeat, comments are removed by the preprocessor in the process of pre-processing, which is done before compilation. So there is no existence of comments when the processed source code is given to the compiler. Comment do not exist in that. Comment is actually not existed in that. So is it wise to tell that key comment is ignored by the compiler? Don't you think that it's wrong? Don't you think that it's wrong? Yes, it is wrong. When can I ignore someone? Let's say I'm conducting a session in a classroom. There are, let's say, 20 students sitting, and let's say one of the student is sitting whose name is, let's say, Rakesh. Purposely I'm not looking at Rakesh. Purposely I'm not paying attention towards him. Purposely I'm not, he's asking some questions, I'm ignoring it out. This is ignoring, where you have the physical existence of the entity. Now let's say Rakesh is not present in my class. Rakesh is sick, he is resting at home. Is there any chance by which I can ignore Rakesh while teaching the rest 19 students? How? Isn't it funny? So those people who tell that comments are ignored by the compiler, I find it wrong, because for compiler to ignore the comment, there should be existence of comments when the code is given to the compiler. Comment actually do not exist when the code is given to the compiler. So a short look at the execution process. So the code is given to the preprocessor first. Preprocessor does the job of pre-processing. So just kind of note for you. So yeah, over here in pre-processing, one of the task which is done is removing of all the comments. So all the comments are removed. Did you got this? All the comments are removed. This is done by preprocessor, and the process is called as pre-processing. Now what is the output of this pre-processing? Tell me. Let me choose this black color. What is the output of this pre-processing? Tell me. The output of the pre-processing is called as .i file. This is your .i file. Did you got it? This is your .i file. .i stands for intermediate file. So shall I put it over here? So here you have the .i file. Here we have the .i file. .i stands for what? It stands for intermediate file. It stands for intermediate file, which is also termed as translational unit, which is also termed as translational unit, which is also termed as translational unit. Did you got this? So this is what is happening. So this .i file is given to the compiler as an input. So here you have the compiler, my dear. Here you have the entity called as compiler. Here you have the entity called as compiler. Compiler compiles your code. What is the meaning of compilation? What exactly the compiler does? Compiler translates your code from your human understandable form to machine understandable form. Did you got this? So after compilation, the file that is created out is, you have the .obj file being created, which also represents the object file. It is also represented as the object file. This is the .obj file. That is object file. And over here, which is the file? .i file is there. Did you got it? That is the intermediate file. So this .obj file is finally eligible for execution. So this is where you have the actual execution. That is called as the runtime. When you actually have the click on the run button, there you have the execution of your code, in which the linker comes into discussion. All right. Fine. So yeah, this is wrong. Execution, the spelling is wrong. All right, so this is where I have the execution of my code, and during the execution you have the linker coming into picture, the libraries getting linked out, and after the execution finally the exe is created. Finally you have the creation of the exe. .exe file is created. Did you got this? So during execution, what do you have? During execution, linker comes into discussion, linker comes into picture. Its job is to link the required libraries. Its job is to link the required libraries. So this is what we are actually going to discuss. We are just at the starting of C. I don't expect you guys to understand all these things. I'll be explaining each and everything in a great detail to you ahead. We are gonna look at the C execution environment, what all things happens and all, but this is just a note kind of thing for you people to understand. Is that clear? So just a summarization of it. Comments are ignored by the compiler is a wrong statement. What's the reason behind it? Tell me. When or rather let me put it, the source code is first given to the preprocessor for pre-processing. The source code is first given to the preprocessor for pre-processing. One of the task which is done in the process of pre-processing is removing of comments. All right. So what is the outcome of this pre-processing? Tell me. What is the output of this pre-processing? The output of pre-processing is the .i file. .i file means what? It is the intermediate file. It is the intermediate file, or it is also called as translational unit. Did you got this? So this .i file, this .i file is given to the compiler as the input. In all cases, this .i file is given to the compiler as the input. Source code is never given to the compiler directly. So here I mention it. Source code, that is .c or .cpp file, source code, that is .c or .cpp file, is never given as the input to the compiler directly. Did you got this? This is what you need to understand. So the .i file is given to the compiler as the input. So what the compiler does, tell me? Compiler translates the .i file. Compiler translates the .i file into machine understandable form. Did you got it? Compiler translates this .i file into machine understandable form. Here the .obj file, .obj stands for what? Object file is created. Did you got this? Finally, this .obj is eligible for execution. Finally, this obj is eligible for execution. After execution, .exe is generated. Did you got this? And what happens during the execution? At the time of execution, the linker, this is also one more entity like compiler. We are going to have a look at that. So during execution, or rather let me tell you, at the time of execution, this is also called as runtime, guys. A lot of time you will be listening out this word, runtime. What is the meaning of this word? Runtime means during program execution, at the time of execution. So at the time of execution, linker comes into discussion, or let's say picture. There is the job of linker as well. At the time of execution, linker comes into discussion. The job of linker is to link the required libraries. The job of linker is to link the required libraries. So this is all what we are going to discuss it in a great detail. Right now I'm not expecting you to understand these all stuffs. My motto is simple. I just want you to understand comments are ignored by compiler is a wrong statement. Compiler ignores comment is wrong. Comments are ignored by compiler is wrong. Even vice versa, compiler ignores comments. This is also wrong. Did you got the reason behind this? So this is something about comments, guys, right? So yeah, now I'll be talking something about importance of comment. Let's understand the importance of comment. So as I've already told you, Richie himself has told you that comment is equally important with your source code. Comment is equally important with your source code. See guys, means after your engineering, BTech, MTech and all whatever education you are going through, after that in the interview process and all, lot of time a very code snippet is asked for some reason or the other. Let's say they'll ask you to create a program to check whether a number is prime or not. Alright, and you expect to get a package of, let's say, 3.5, more than that, just based on the criteria that you are able to create a program to check whether a number is prime or not. Oh, absolutely not that way. The interviewer is asking you to put down the code to observe a lot of things. The very first and foremost thing is the logic should be well stated. Well stated in the terms of what? Efficiency and execution time, space complexity, time complexity. The logic should be efficient. So efficiency should be optimum. Efficiency should be optimum in terms of time and space required. This is where I'm talking about time complexity. Here I'm talking about time complexity and space complexity. Right now it's very difficult for you to understand, but this is just something that you should have in your brain a bit clearer. In data structure, I'll be talking about this. What is time complexity and what is space complexity? For your understanding, just understand that the logic should be clear and efficient. Alright, so logic is the very first and foremost thing. The second important thing is naming convention. Naming convention. The way you name your variables. Oh, now what is this variable, guys? We are just started with C. You don't know what is variable. I am gonna teach you, and after that I believe that you should be in a position to understand naming convention. But those who know C to some extent, so understand, guys, the way you name the variables and all. So generally we have integer A, B, C, flag, counter, prod, sum, total. Did you got this? Or let's say if it is a float type variable, you go with float AVG, or let's say simple interest, SI. These kind of names are never ever suggested. Whenever you'll actually work with any organization, whenever you'll be selected and whenever you'll be working on the process of software development, never ever you are supposed to use these kind of names. It's a protocol, and this habit you will start it after you're joining, which is very weird. Try it from day one itself. When you're learning C, have a habit of having proper naming convention. For example, whenever the variable is of integer type, it has to start with I underscore. Then have the actual name of the variable. Let's say NO1, let's say I underscore NO2. So this is called as naming convention. The way you name your variables, function, structure, enum, there are protocols for it. If it is a float type variable, you need to go with something like float F underscore, then you can say average. So what is the benefit of it? The benefit is, let's say on 100th line, I observe a variable F underscore average. Just by looking at the F, I'm able to figure out the data type of that variable. The variable belongs to the type float. That is very clear. With respect to C, if you're defining a pointer, let's say, so it should always have, let's say, for example, actually speaking, pointer is nothing. You never talk something about pointer. Pointer to something is important. Pointer to int, that is into existence. Pointer to float is valid. Pointer to function is having a meaning. Pointer to array is well defined. But simply pointer is senseless. You have nothing called as just a pointer. Pointer to, that is important. We are going to discuss it, nothing to worry about. But talking about the standardization, if I want to define a pointer of type integer, so it has to start with ptr underscore, I underscore, then the actual name should be there. Did you got it? So of course this has to start with a star. So this is what is representing that the variable is a pointer. Underscore I means it is okay, it's a pointer of type integer, and after that I'll have, let's say, capital small x, right? So this is what is how you create a pointer belonging to the type int. So yeah, I don't expect you to understand these all things. I will be explaining all these details to you, but this is what you need to practice when someone asks you to put a code in the interview process. So naming convention, that is the most important thing. Next importance is given to indentation. Indentation. Now what is the meaning of this indentation? Indentation means, guys, the way you increase the readability of your code. In simple words, whenever you are having a block, never you are supposed to code on that particular line. Never. This is very weird way of coding. Never. Or even you are not supposed to code following the same margin. This is also not valid. This is also not as per the standard. The simple thing is, whenever you are opening the block, always have a habit of closing it. Always have a habit of closing it. Did you got it? So over there as well, you need to have a margin, and then you need to have the code. You need to have a tab, a space, and then you need to have a code. Did you got it? Within that set of statements as well, even if you're opening a block, so always ensure that it is having a closing to it, and followed by a margin, your code is appearing out. This is what is called as indentation. Indentation. Always the code should be properly indented. This increases the readability of your code. The presentation is bit good. So over here as well, if you'll observe it out, so whenever we are starting with a block, are we coding on the same line? See, a margin is there. You got to know this. This is what is called as indentation. The code has to be well indented. After that, the fourth important thing is exception handling. Now this is again not in a scope to be discussed out right now. Those who are a bit comfortable with computer science and the fundamentals of it, the bit about the programming languages, might know this terminology, exception handling. In C++, in Java, C#, we have a separate topic called as exception handling. It's a unit to be discussed out. A great topic. For your understanding, exception handling means what? It is dealing with something called as exception. The code that you are creating should never ever crash. Application should not terminate abruptly. The execution should go on and on and on. So all the exceptional cases should be well handled. So this is also what we are going to discuss out in a great detail. And the last important thing is nothing but it is use of comments. Use of comments wherever required. Did you got it? So these are the 5 things that you always need to follow whenever you are coding, whether it is for your own purpose or whether it is to present yourself for some interview process. So this is very important, guys. Comments. From day one itself, put a habit of writing the comments and all. These all coding standards I'll be making sure that at right time exactly leading with the actual standard that I'll be doing. Nothing to worry about. So yeah, this is something about comments. So the thing to be noted is what? So just a note kind of thing with respect to comments. Forget all these 4 things. We are going to discuss out in a great detail. We are going to discuss out these all 4 things in a great detail. Nothing to worry about it. But yeah, at least start using the comments from today onwards. So yeah, what is the note kind of thing? So always have tiny, short, sensible, beautiful comments wherever required. Wherever required. Did you got it? So what is comment basically? Comment is just a documentation. Comment is just a documentation for our own, for the easiness, for the easiness. It provides info about the particular statement. It provides info about the particular statement. It could be logic, it could be variable, or etc. Whatever you want it to represent as. Did you got it? It is helpful. It is helpful to the creator of the code himself. It is helpful to the creator. It is helpful to the creator of the code himself, or any person who's gonna take the lead and move ahead with the partial work done by the previous developer. You got it? In these scenarios, this comment is very helpful. So this is something about comment. We talked something about the execution environment. So I think you got to know what is the importance of it and all, right? So what title should I give it? So this is what is coding standard, in which you have importance of comment as one of the aspects. So yeah, that's it guys in this particular session. I hope you are enjoying my recordings out. So again, a request to you, subscribe to my channel Yash Paranspe, and do click on the bell icon for all the updations that I'll be providing. For any doubt, any query, for any suggestion, you have the comment box, so please do comment. So I'll be trying my best to fulfill it out, and see you soon with the upcoming sessions. Thank you.